My wife's new boyfriend moved into our $2.4 million home the day our divorce finalized. The text came the same night the ink dried on our divorce papers. "You'll die poor and alone." Her words bled across my phone screen like a brand seared into flesh. Simple, sharp, designed to hurt. She sent it as she posed for a photo with him, his hand already on her waist, their champagne glasses raised in my kitchen, in my home. The marble countertops I'd chosen, the chandelier I'd installed, the walls I'd paid for. By morning, he was moved in, my replacement. The man who'd been waiting in shadows now parading through the halls of the $2.4 million house I had built for us, for her. I didn't answer her message. Silence was my weapon. But inside, rage cracked like ice beneath a boot. Then, at 2:14 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "This is the Pentagon," a man's voice said. "Your grandfather's classified mission has been declassified. His inheritance, restricted for 60 years, is now yours to claim." Silence again. I thought it was a cruel joke, until he said the number, $156 million. But there was a condition, a clause written in the language of land, contracts, and real estate law. And for the first time since she left me for him, I smiled. I'd suspected the affair for months. Not because of obvious signs, she was careful, meticulous, just like me. But silence leaves patterns. Unspoken words echo louder than screams. She stopped asking me about my day. She stopped touching me when she passed. Her phone was always face down, and she started sleeping on the far edge of the bed, as if proximity carried disease. Then came the dinners with friends, the late nights at the office, the perfume that lingered on her hair, sharp and unfamiliar. I told myself it was paranoia, that every marriage decays, that comfort becomes distance. But then she slipped. One night she came home drunk. She called me by another name before collapsing on the couch. His name. That was the moment my heart stopped believing the lies my brain tried to invent. I didn't confront her then. I simply stored the truth like a blade behind my back. She thought she'd fooled me. That made her reckless. And reckless people destroy themselves with time. The divorce was fast. Too fast. Her lawyer filed papers so cleanly it was clear she'd prepared long before I knew. Property division, spousal support, my house, her playground. I gave in to avoid the theater of courtrooms. I wanted her gone as she wanted me erased. But watching him move into my home the very day the judge's gavel fell, that was the kind of cruelty that begged for precision. And then the call. The Pentagon. My grandfather's inheritance, bound by clauses and codes of real estate law. It wasn't just money, it was leverage, and leverage, I knew, could destroy them. I began quietly, always quietly. The clause was simple but ruthless. In order to claim the $156 million, I had to control one singular property tied to my grandfather's mission. Not sell it, not demolish it, own it. The property wasn't random. It was strategic. Land positioned on a development corridor. A single deed controlling the fate of a multi-billion-dollar project. My grandfather had buried his fortune in legal traps, knowing one day it would be worth something unimaginable. And here was the knife twist. The property deed had been funneled through years of transactions into a trust. That trust tied back to the house my ex-wife now lived in. My house. My inheritance was chained to her comfort, and she didn't know it. I visited the county recorder's office. Public records are open to anyone, if you know what to look for. I traced signatures, scanned decades-old transfers, mapped the spiderweb of trusts, LLCs, and hidden beneficiaries. Each line of ink was a trail of power. At night, I drove past the house. The curtains I once drew were now open, their silhouettes framed by the glow of the chandelier. I saw them laughing at my dining table, drinking from my glasses, living inside the architecture of my work. He wore my clothes sometimes. She had given them to him. I kept driving. Meanwhile, I pulled phone records. Not hers. I no longer cared about evidence of the affair. I pulled his. Lawyers and clerks don't hide their tracks well when their egos grow faster than their caution. He'd left fingerprints across his financials, hidden debts, quiet lawsuits, former firms that wanted him gone. Every puzzle piece I gathered was a brick. I was building a wall of silence around them, one they would never see until the roof collapsed. By the time the deed trail reached its conclusion, I already knew what I'd find. The property, my inheritance, was entangled with her. She thought she'd won the divorce, the house, the man, the future. But in reality, she had trapped herself inside my grandfather's game. And I was the only one who knew the rules. The evidence came in a thin, unmarked envelope. County-certified documents, title history, trust agreements, deed restrictions, and at the center of it, her signature. She didn't even know what she'd signed. The house, the property beneath it, the trust it sat on, all coiled into the condition of my inheritance. She thought she'd stolen a home. In reality, she'd shackled herself to a legal curse she couldn't comprehend. I walked into the law firm lobby where she worked as an advisor now, her boyfriend already wearing suits that cost more than his dignity. I didn't announce myself. I just handed the envelope to her across the marble desk. She opened it. Her eyes skimmed the pages. Her lips parted. Her hand trembled slightly as realization sank in. "This," she whispered, "this can't be real." "It's real," I said. My voice was calm, flat, surgical. She looked up at me then, eyes wide, glassy, desperate. "What does this mean?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The silence was louder than any explanation. Her boyfriend stepped forward, trying to look powerful. He reached for the envelope. I let him have it. He flipped through the pages, his face tightening as he understood less and less. I watched him sweat. That was enough. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I simply said, "Every dollar, every contract, every title you touch runs through me now." The boyfriend blustered. "We'll fight it. We'll go to court." I smiled. "You won't. Because to challenge me is to challenge the Pentagon. And I promise you, they'll bury you before I lift a finger." He froze. She looked at him, and in that moment I saw it. The fracture. Doubt. The realization that he couldn't protect her. That the man she'd chosen over me wasn't strong enough to stand against what I carried in my hands. She whispered, almost to herself, "You knew. You knew before the divorce." "I knew enough," I said. Her face broke then. The cold certainty of betrayal collapsed into something raw, something ugly. She wanted me angry, broken, devastated. Instead, she found me untouchable. I turned to leave, but before I stepped away, I added one last knife twist. "You wanted the house. Keep it. It's yours. To maintain. But every brick, every nail, every dollar tied to it belongs to me now. When it crumbles on you." I walked out, leaving silence in my wake. That night, I drove past the house one last time. The curtains were closed now. The chandelier was dark. No laughter, no glasses, no music. Just silence pressed against the glass like a body in a coffin. I didn't stop. I didn't slow. I had no reason to anymore. She thought she'd left me with nothing. She thought I'd die poor and alone. Instead, I carried $156 million in leverage and the knowledge that she was trapped in a cage she built for herself. I didn't need to touch her. I didn't need to scream. Her punishment was to live inside a life she could no longer control. As for me, I walked away untethered. The past was ashes. The future was steel, and I never looked back. She wanted me ruined. Instead, I left her living inside the ruins.